Okay, let's dive in. Welcome everyone to the deep dive. We sift through, well, a mountain of source material travel guides, data, history, first-hand accounts, to really boil it all down for you.
Basically, we do the heavy lifting so you get the essential info fast.
And today our focus is squarely on Sicily. It's the Med's biggest island, and we're digging into whether it's truly worth it.
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? Because our sources paint this picture of incredible history, amazing food, but also, let's call it a certain level of beautiful chaos. It's complex.
It really is. You look at Sicily's past, and it's just layer upon layer. Greeks, Romans, Arabs, Normans, Spanish, they all left their mark. It's not just Italy. It's something else.
A crossroads, definitely.
Yeah.
And that history, it permeates everything, the culture, the architecture, and, oh, the food. We'll get to the food.
Absolutely. So the goal here for you, the listener, is to get that balanced view. We need the practical stuff, costs, how to get around, but also the memorable details. What makes it special?
Right. What does it feel like? Standing on Etna, navigating those markets, we're balancing the postcard image with the on-the-ground reality so you can decide if Sicily's the right adventure for you.
Okay, first things first. Logistics. How do you actually get to Sicily? For most international folks, it's flying, right?
Yeah, flying is pretty much the standard way in, and you're mainly looking at two key airports.
Which are?
Over on the west side, there's Palermo, Falcone Borsellino Airport, that's PMO, and then on the east coast, you've got Catania's Vincenzo Bellini Airport, or CTA.
And are they well connected? Easy to fly into?
Generally, yes. Both handle a good amount of traffic, especially from Europe, so finding flights isn't usually the problem.
What about the cost, though? Let's talk budget for just getting there.
Hey, it really depends where you're coming from. If you're flying from within Europe, London, Paris, Berlin, maybe Rome, you can find some surprisingly cheap fares.
Like how cheap?
Sometimes if you book ahead or catch a deal with a budget airline, you might be looking at like 100 to 300 round trips, pretty good value.
Wow, okay. But what about listeners coming from further away? North America, Asia?
Right, that's where it gets pricier and a bit more complex. You'll almost certainly have a connection, usually through a major European hub.
So think Rome, Frankfurt, Amsterdam, something like that.
Exactly. And those flights, well, they jump up quite a bit. The sources suggest budgeting anywhere from, say, $500 to easily over $1,000, depending heavily on when you book and the time of year.
Which brings us to timing. When's the best time to go, considering price, weather, crowds?
The overwhelming consensus is spring, April, May, June, and then fall, so September and October. That's the sweet spot.
Why then specifically?
Two main reasons. First, prices are generally lower than peak summer, but maybe more importantly, the weather is just ideal. It's warm, pleasant, but you avoid that really intense, almost oppressive heat you get in July and August.
Which must make exploring ruins or cities much more pleasant.
Ugh, way more pleasant. Trying to climb around the Valley of the Temples or hike on Etna in August, that can be pretty brutal. Shoulder seasons are definitely the way to go for comfort and fewer crowds, too.
Okay, so we've landed in Palermo or Catania. Now what? How do we get from the airport into the city?
It's actually quite straightforward, thankfully. Both airports have reliable bus services that run right into the city centers.
And cost-wise?
Pretty cheap, usually around €6 to €8 for a one-way ticket. The ride takes about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic. It's efficient.
What about taxis? Always a potential pitfall for travelers.
Taxis are definitely there, but here's the crucial tip, the really important one. Always, always confirm the flat rate before you get in the cab.
They have fixed prices.
Yes, there are official flat rates to the city center, usually somewhere between 35 and €50, but you need to confirm it up front. If the driver starts talking about the meter, that's a red flag. You could end up paying a lot more. Be firm, know the rate exists.
Got it. Essential advice. Okay, so we're settled in the city, say Palermo or Catania. How easy is it to get around locally?
Well, within the main historic areas, honestly, walking is king. They're dense, fascinating, and you just soak up so much more on foot.
Makes sense. But for longer distances, or if walking isn't an option?
Local buses, and in some places, trams are really affordable. A single ticket is super cheap, like £1.50 or two, and day passes are usually only £3.150 to 5/8. Great value.
But what about ride sharing? Can I just pull out my phone and get an Uber like I would in, say, London or New York.
Ah, that's the big difference. No, not really. Ride-sharing apps like Uber just aren't a reliable thing in Sicily. They might technically exist in some tiny capacity, but you absolutely cannot count on them.
So don't plan your transport around them.
Definitely not. You need to be ready to use the local buses, walk, or find an official taxi stand if you need a ride. It's a different system.
Okay, let's zoom out. What about traveling between cities? Say, Palermo to Syracuse or Catania to Agrigento.
You've got two main options there, trains and buses. There is a train network.
But. I sense a but.
Yeah, there's a but. The trains, according to the sources, are often quite old, can be slow, and the network just doesn't cover everywhere you might want to go, especially those charming little inland hill towns.
So trains might not be the most efficient choice.
Often no. For most inner-city travel, especially if you want wider coverage, the bus network is generally better.
Really? Buses over trains?
Yep. Companies like Sicily or Interbus run pretty extensive routes connecting the major towns and even some smaller ones. They're usually more efficient time-wise, cover more ground, and tickets are still very reasonable, maybe 10 to 20 euros for a longer journey. For flexibility on public transport, buses tend to win out.
Okay, time to address the elephant in the room, or perhaps the tiny Fiat navigating a medieval alley, renting a car.
Ah, yes. The Sicilian driving adventure. It unlocks so much freedom, but it comes with serious caveats.
Let's start with the freedom part. Why rent a car?
If you want to explore off the beaten path, find those hidden beaches, drive up into the mountains, visit an agriturismo deep in the countryside, get right to trailheads on Etna, a car is pretty much essential. Public transport just won't get you everywhere.
But the caveats.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about the driving experience itself.
Okay, reality check. Driving in Sicily is often described as, let's say, assertive or just an adventure. You need to brace yourself.
For what, specifically?
Narrow streets, especially in historic town centers that feel impossible to squeeze through. A driving culture where lane markings and turn signals are often treated as suggestions.
Okay.
And parking. Parking is described less as a procedure and more as an art form. You'll see cars crammed into spaces you wouldn't think possible. It requires confidence, maybe even a bit of aggression, and definitely good spatial awareness. It's not relaxing driving for most people.
Sounds intense. But beyond the stress, there are actual financial risks, right? Tell us about the ZTLs. This is critical.
Absolutely critical. ZTL stands for Zona a Traffico Limitato, or limited traffic zone. These are areas usually in the historic centers of cities like Palermo, Catania, Syracuse, designed to reduce traffic.
And how do they get you?
Cameras. There are cameras at the entry points. If you drive past one without the correct permit, which, as a tourist in a rental car, you won't have unless your hotel is inside and has registered your plate, it snaps your license plate.
And you don't get a ticket right away.
No, that's the insidious part. You might not even realize you did anything wrong. Months later, the rental car company gets the fine. They then charge you a hefty administrative fee, often €50 or €100 per violation, just for handling the paperwork.
Per violation. Wow.
Yes. And then they forward you the actual ticket from the Italian authorities, which can be anywhere from €80 to €300. If you drive in and out a few times, maybe get lost, you could rack up hundreds, even thousands of euros in fines long after you've forgotten about the trip.
That is a holiday nightmare. So the mandatory warnings are?
Get the full insurance coverage on your rental. Seriously, consider renting the smallest car you can manage. And crucially, be extremely careful about ZTLs. Assume any historic center might be restricted, and look for the signs a white circle with a red border. If in doubt, park outside and walk in. Learn what the signs look like before you go.
So car equals freedom, but only if you're a confident, assertive driver prepared for chaos and very careful about rules like ZTLs.
Exactly. If that sounds stressful, stick to the buses and trains and accept you might miss some remote spots. It's a trade-off.
Right, after potentially navigating that driving gauntlet, you'll need a good place to stay. And one thing Sicily seems to do really well is accommodation value. Let's break down the options by budget.
Yeah, you can find something decent at pretty much any price point, which is great. Let's start at the budget end, say under €70 a night.
What are we looking at there?
Hostels.
Hostels exist, definitely. You can find dorm beds for maybe €25 to €40 in the main cities. But the real stars in this budget range, according to the sources, are the B&Bs and guest houses.
Okay, tell me more about those.
You can often find a private room in a locally run B&B or guest house for around €45 to €70. The big bonus here is you often get breakfast included, usually a simple but lovely Sicilian spread, and you get that direct connection with local hosts. It's great value.
Sounds good. Now, moving up a bit, where's that sweet spot, the best bang for your buck for most travelers?
That seems to be firmly in the mid-range, which we'll define as roughly 70 to 50 euro per night.
And what kind of places fall into this category?
This is where you get a lot of choice. Nice Airbnbs, good quality boutique hotels, but the standout recommendation, the one that comes up again and again, is the agriturismo.
Okay, let's unpack that term. What exactly is an agriturismo? It sounds agricultural.
It is. Basically, it's accommodation on a working farm or rural estate. Think farm stay, but often quite sophisticated.
So it's not just a room. What makes it special?
It's the whole experience. Authenticity is key. You're often out in the beautiful countryside. The accommodation itself can range from rustic charm to quite elegant rooms. But the real highlight for many is the food. Ah, the food connection again.
Absolutely. Many agriturismi offer meals, often dinner, using ingredients grown right there on the farm or sourced hyper-locally. We're talking true farm-to-table, often traditional family recipes you wouldn't find in a standard restaurant.
So, amazing food, authentic setting. Sounds incredible.
It often is. Sometimes dinner is served family-style, so you get to chat with other guests. It's a really immersive way to experience rural Sicilian life and cuisine. For that 70–150 price point, it's hard to beat the overall value.
Is there a catch?
The main catch links back to our transport discussion. Agriturismi are usually rural. You almost always need a car to reach them and explore the area, so you trade easy access for that unique experience.
Right, makes sense. Okay, what about the luxury end, if budget isn't the main concern?
Luxury in Sicily starts around 200 euros a night and can go way up, especially in prime locations during peak season. Think 400 euro, 500 euro, even more per night.
And what are you getting for that? You're looking at five-star hotels, often with stunning views, places like Taormina perched on the cliffs overlooking the Ionian Sea. Private villas are also an option. It's about high-end service, beautiful pools, refined settings. Perfect if you're after that kind of indulgent escape.
Okay, we've got the price points covered. Now, strategy. Where should you actually base yourself? The main cities seem to offer very different vibes.
Totally different. Your choice of base really shapes your trip. Let's look at the big three.
Start with Palermo. It's the capital, it's big, it's noisy.
It is, and in Palermo, where you stay matters a lot. If you want to be right in the thick of it, the history, the markets, the intense energy, the amazing street food, you should look for accommodation in the Calza district.
Calza. Why there?
It's one of the oldest, most historic quarters. It's central, it's atmospheric, maybe a bit gritty, but you're right next to everything. You step out your door and you're in Palermo. It's perfect for the foodie and the history lover who embraces the buzz.
Okay, but what if that intensity sounds like too much? Or if you're traveling with family?
Good point. If you want something calmer or easier beach access, consider staying near Mondello.
Mondello, isn't that a separate town?
It sort of is, but it functions like Palermo's seaside suburb. It's got a beautiful sandy beach, a more relaxed, slightly more upscale vibe. You need to take a bus or drive into the historic center, maybe 20–30 minutes. But it's a good base if you want a quieter retreat combined with city access.
Right. Now let's head east to Catania. What's the vibe there?
Catania feels different. Its defining feature is the Baroque architecture, much of it built from dark volcanic rock from Etna, which gives it this dramatic, slightly brooding look.
And where should you stay in Catania?
The recommendation is generally the whole town near the Piazza del Duomo. It's lively, especially in the evenings, great restaurants and bars, beautiful architecture, and it's the natural launching point for trips up Mount Etna. It's more compact than Palermo's historic center, maybe a bit easier to navigate.
Okay. And the third major hub, the postcard star. Taormina.
Ugh, Taormina. It's all about the views and the charm. It's perched high on a hill overlooking the sea with Etna in the distance. It's beautiful, undeniably.
Right.
But it's also the most polished, the most tourist-oriented, and definitely the most expensive of the main bases. It's got chic boutiques, lovely cafes, that stunning ancient Greek theater.
So who is Taormina perfect for?
It's ideal if you're looking for a more refined, perhaps romantic trip. If stunning views and a generally relaxed, upscale atmosphere are your priorities over gritty authenticity, you pay a premium for the beauty and the polish. Okay, we have to shift gears now, because arguably the single biggest reason to go to Sicily, according to pretty much every source, is the food. It's described as the true heart and soul of the island.
And it's not just Italian food, right? It's distinctly Sicilian,
Right.
shaped by all those historical influences we mentioned earlier.
Exactly. This is where that history becomes edible. You taste the Greeks and the olives and wine. The Romans maybe less so directly on the plate today, but the Arabs, The Arab influence is huge and maybe surprising to some.
How so? What did the Arabs bring to the Sicilian table?
They were there from the 9th to the 11th century, and they introduced fundamental ingredients we now think of as Sicilian. Things like citrus fruits, lemons, oranges, which are everywhere, sugarcane, almonds, pistachios, spices like saffron and cinnamon.
Wow, okay. So a lot of the sweet stuff.
A lot of the sweet stuff, yes.
Yeah.
And rice, which leads us to arancini. Critically, they also brought advanced techniques for making sorbets and ice cream using snow harvested from Mount Etna. Without that Arab period, Sicilian desserts and even some savory staples would be completely different. It added this layer of exoticism, that sweet and sour element that really sets it apart.
That context makes tasting the classics even more interesting. So let's talk about those must-try savory dishes. Where do we start?
You absolutely have to start with arancini. These are basically fried balls of risotto rice. Delicious.
That's typically inside.
The most classic filling is a rich ragu meat sauce with mozzarella and peas, but there are tons of variations: spinach and ricotta, pistachio pesto, and here's a fun detail. Their shape can tell you where you are.
Really?
In Palermo in the west, arancina, feminine, is usually round. In Catania in the east, arancino masculine is often conical, kind of shaped like Mount Etna. It's a little point of regional pride and rivalry. You have to try both, obviously.
Love that. Okay, what's the quintessential Sicilian pasta dish?
That would have to be pasta alla norma. It's a Catania specialty, but you find it everywhere. It's typically a short pasta like macaroni or rigatoni, tossed in a simple, beautiful tomato sauce with chunks of fried eggplant melanzane, and then topped with a generous grating of ricotta salata.
Ricotta salata. So salted ricotta. How's that different from regular ricotta?
It's ricotta that's been pressed, salted, and aged, so it's hard and crumbly, not soft and creamy. It adds this fantastic, salty, savory kick that cuts through the richness of the eggplant and tomato. It's divine. Named after Bellini's opera Norma, supposedly because it's perfect.
Nice backstory.
Okay.
One more savory staple, maybe something more street food oriented.
You need to try sfincione.
Yeah.
Think of it like a thick, spongy, oily Sicilian pizza or focaccia. It's not your typical thin crust pizza.
What's usually on top?
Traditionally, it's quite simple. Often onions, maybe some tomatoes, breadcrumbs, anchovies, herbs like oregano, sometimes caciocavallo cheese, but often no mozzarella. It's hearty, cheap, super satisfying, perfect for a quick, authentic lunch on the go.
Okay, my mouth is watering. Let's switch to the sweet side. We know the Arab influence is key here. What's the absolute #1 dessert?
It has to be the cannolo. Singular cannolo, plural cannoli. That iconic, crispy, fried pastry tube filled with sweetened, creamy ricotta.
Are there variations?
Oh, yeah. The ricotta might be flavored with vanilla or orange zest. The ends are often dipped in chopped pistachios, candied fruit, or chocolate chips. They are best when filled fresh to order so the shell stays super crispy. A soggy cannolo is a sad thing.
Good tip. But you mentioned something earlier, eaten for breakfast.
Ah, yes, that's granita. This is non-negotiable, especially in summer.
It looks kind of like sorbet or Italian ice.
Similar, but the texture is different. It's grainier, icier, hence the name granita. It's made by partially freezing the mixture while churning it, creating these lovely ice crystals.
And you eat it for breakfast. Seriously.
Absolutely. Especially in eastern Sicily, like Catania or Messina. The classic way is to have a granita, lemon, or almond, our traditional breakfast flavors. Coffee, too, served with a soft, sweet brioche bun called a brioche col tuppo because it has a little top knot, a tuppo. You dip the brioche in the granita.
Wow. Icy granita and sweet bread for breakfast. That sounds unique.
It's fantastic. So refreshing on a hot morning. It perfectly encapsulates that blend of Arab icy dessert techniques and local baking. You haven't done Sicily properly until you've tried it.
Duly noted. What about drinks? Wine, liqueurs?
Sicily has some excellent wines. Look for reds made from the Nero d'Avola grape. They're often rich, dark, and full-bodied. There are also great whites, especially from grapes grown on Mount Etna's volcanic slopes. Etna Bianco is really sought after.
And after dinner?
You have the famous fortified wine, Marsala, which can be dry or sweet. And then, of course, you'll often be offered a digestivo like limoncello, the sweet lemon liqueur, though other local amaros, bitter liqueurs, are also popular.
Let's talk cost again. The sources rave about the food value. Can you quantify that?
It's genuinely amazing value, especially compared to northern Italy or other parts of Europe. Street food like arancini or sfincione, you can have a filling lunch for €5 to €8, easily.
And a sit-down meal.
A good, authentic meal at a local trattoria, maybe an appetizer to share, a big plate of pasta each, house wine, water, and the Coperto cover charge, you're often looking at 20 to 40 euro per person. Incredible quality for that price. High-end dining exists too, of course, maybe 60 euro plus in Donerall, but that mid-range trattoria experience is where the phenomenal value lies.
Okay, critical advice.
Yeah.
How do you find those authentic trattorias and avoid the tourist traps?
Rule number 1. Avoid places right on the main piazza or directly next to a huge tourist attraction. They often rely on location, not quality. Rule number 2. Look for places a few streets back. Wander a bit.
Any visual clues?
Yes. Look for places that are busy, ideally with locals. Listen for Italian being spoken. A handwritten menu, maybe taped in the window, is often a good sign. And a big red flag. Any sign advertising a menu turistico, avoid those. They're usually generic, lower quality set menus.
Got it. And a final cultural tip about dining.
Yes, slow down. Dinner especially is a social event meant to be enjoyed over time. Don't expect lightning-fast service. Relax, savor the food, enjoy the atmosphere. It's part of the Sicilian pace. And definitely hit the food markets, like Ballarò or Vucceria in Palermo. They're chaotic, but incredible for sampling and soaking up the culture.
Right, we're fed, we know how to get around, sort of. Now let's nail down those absolute must-do experiences, the things that, according to the sources, really define a trip to Sicily and make it worth it.
Top of the list, looming large over eastern Sicily, has to be Mount Etna.
Europe's most active volcano. What's the experience like? Is it just a hike?
It's so much more. It's this vast, imposing presence. The landscape up there is genuinely otherworldly, stark black, volcanic rock steam vents. It feels raw and powerful. You really get a sense of the Earth's geological forces at work.
How do you actually visit it? Can you just wander up?
No, not really to the active zones. For safety and insight, guided tours are highly recommended, especially if you want to get close to the upper craters. There are different options. From the south side, Refugio Sapienza, you can take a cable car partway up, then maybe a special 4x4 bus higher. That combo might cost around 50 euro to 70.
And for more serious hiking?
From the north side, Piano Prevenzana, it's more focused on hiking. To get to the summit craters, when conditions allow, you absolutely need an authorized volcanologist guide. Those full guided hikes are more involved and might cost 80 euro to 100 or more.
Any key tips for visiting Etna?
Layers. It can be significantly colder and windier at altitude, even on a hot day, where sturdy, closed-toe shoes, hiking boots are ideal. Sunglasses and sunscreen are essential, even if it seems cloudy. And book guides in advance, especially in peak season. Oh, and check the volcanic activity status before you go.
Right, it is active. Okay, shifting from volcanic power to ancient grandeur, the Valley of the Temples in Agrigento.
Yes, an absolute must. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it is just breathtaking. It's one of the most outstanding examples of ancient Greek architecture anywhere in the world.
What makes it so special? Are the temples well preserved?
Incredibly so. There are 7 main Doric temples dating back to the 5th century BC. The star is the Temple of Concordia. It's almost perfectly preserved, one of the best examples of its kind standing today. Walking among these massive structures gives you this profound connection to 2,500 years of history.
What's the practical advice for visiting? Cost? Best time?
Entrance is usually around 12 to 15. The key tip, much like exploring cities in summer, is timing. Go early in the morning or late in the afternoon to avoid the worst of the midday heat and the biggest crowds. The site is quite exposed.
Anything else?
Yes. A really strong recommendation from many sources is to see the temples lit up at night. They illuminate them beautifully, and apparently it's a completely different, almost magical experience. Might even be better than the daytime visit for atmosphere.
Good to know. Okay, number 3 on the must-do list takes us back to that icon, Taormina and its ancient Greek theater.
Right. The view everyone recognizes. The theater itself is amazing, originally Greek, but heavily modified by the Romans. But the real showstopper is the location.
Explain that setting.
It's built into the hillside overlooking the town and the sea. When you sit in the ancient seats and look towards the stage, the backdrop is this jaw-dropping panorama of the blue Ionian Sea, the coastline, and often Mount Etna smoking gently in the distance. It's probably one of the most spectacular theater settings on Earth.
Well, what's the cost to get in?
Usually around 10 to 13. Well worth it, just for the view, let alone the history.
And what else should you do while in Taormina besides soaking in that view?
Wander the main street, Corso Umberto, with its chic shops and cafes. It's touristy but charming. If you can, check if there are any performances happening in the theater. Seeing a concert or opera there would be unforgettable. Also, take the cable car, Funivia, down to the little pebbly beach and nature reserve of Isola Bella.
Okay, final must-do. We're heading back to the gritty heart of Palermo, the historic markets.
Yes. Specifically Ballarò and Vucciria. If Etna is raw nature and the temples are ancient history, the markets are raw, living, breathing Sicilian culture.
They sound intense. What's the experience like?
It's a total sensory overload in the best way possible. Noise, colors, smells, vendors shouting, abaniate stalls overflowing with produce, fish, street food. It's chaotic, vibrant, maybe a little intimidating at first, but utterly captivating.
So it's not just about shopping.
No, it's about immersion. It's the beating heart of Palermo, as the sources say. Go there to sample amazing street food things like panel, which are chickpea fritters, or panicamusa, a spleen sandwich if you're brave. Practice your haggling if you buy something. Just wander, observe, and soak it all in. It's free to explore, and the food is incredibly cheap. It's pure Civitavecchia Palermo.
Okay, we've got the highlights, but Sicily is huge, and time and money are always limited. So we need to talk about managing expectations. Are there things that maybe aren't worth the hype or where you could spend your time better?
Absolutely. Prioritization is key on an island this packed with sights. And yeah, the sources do flag a couple of things that might be worth skipping or approaching differently.
What's the first one?
It might be a bit controversial, but several sources suggest the interior of Ursino Castle in Catania.
Okay, why skip the castle? Castles are usually cool.
The exterior is definitely impressive. It's this big, solid medieval fortress from Frederick II's time, steeped in history, worth seeing from the outside. But the issue is the Civic Museum housed inside. It's often described as, well, underwhelming.
Meaning.
Sparse exhibits, maybe not the best curation or information compared to the richness of other museums and sites in Sicily. You might spend the entrance fee and an hour inside and come away feeling a bit,
So the suggestion is,
Admire the imposing structure from the outside, take your pictures, appreciate its history in the context of the city, but maybe save your museum time and money for somewhere else. Instead, use that hour to dive into Catania's incredible fish market, La Pisteria, nearby, which is an amazing sensory experience, or just explore more of the surrounding Baroque architecture. Better cultural bang for your buck, potentially.
right, spend time on Catania's unique strengths.
Okay.
Okay, what else might be skippable or at least require caution?
The super hyped, often expensive beach clubs, especially in places like Taormina or the popular beach town of Cefalù, particularly during peak season, July, August.
Why skip those? They look relaxing in the photos.
They can be, but often the reality in high summer is different. First, they can be really pricey. You might pay 20, 30, even 40 euros just for a sun lounger and umbrella for the day.
Wow, that's steep.
Yeah. And second, they can get incredibly crowded. You might find yourself packed in like sardines, which kind of diminishes that relaxing beach vibe and the natural beauty of the coastline.
So what's the alternative if you want a good beach experience without the hefty price tag and crowds?
Look for the public beaches,
Yeah.
Spiagge Libere. They might have fewer amenities, but they're free, and you can often find less crowded spots if you walk a bit. Or, even better, consider taking a boat trip.
A boat trip?
Yeah, for maybe not much more than renting 2 fancy loungers, you could join a half-day boat tour along the coast. They often take you to beautiful little coves and swimming spots that you can't reach by land. It's a much more authentic and often more relaxing way to experience Sicily's beautiful sea.
We've covered the practicalities, the food, the must-sees, what to potentially skip. But let's talk about the overall feel of Sicily, because the sources consistently emphasize it's not just a place, it's an intense experience, warts and all.
That's exactly it. Intense, raw, vibrant, authentic. These words come up constantly. Sicily has a very strong personality. It's not necessarily trying to be polished for tourists.
Let's break down that personality.
Okay.
What are the definite positives, the good side of that intensity?
While the warmth of the people is frequently mentioned, locals can be incredibly welcoming and generous, especially if you make an effort, maybe try a few words of Italian. There's a genuine hospitality there.
And the pace of life.
It's generally slower than in northern Italy or many other parts of Western Europe. Things take time. This can be frustrating if you're in a hurry, but it also forces you to slow down, which can be a good thing on vacation. And the scenery is just stunningly diverse. Coastline, mountains, volcanoes, ancient ruins, it's all packed in. Plus, as we keep saying, the value, especially for food, is fantastic.
It sounds generally safe, too.
Yes, generally safe, especially outside the main cities late at night. Like any popular place, you need to be vigilant about pickpockets in crowded markets or on buses. But violent crime against tourists is rare. Common sense prevails.
Okay, but now the flip side, the warts, the challenges that come with that raw authenticity. What should people be prepared for?
Sicily is definitely not a pristine, perfectly manicured destination everywhere you look. Infrastructure can be a real challenge. We talked about the driving.
Right.
Public transport, while useful, doesn't always run strictly to schedule. Timetables can feel like optimistic suggestions sometimes, especially on weekends or regional lines.
And visually, is it always picturesque?
Not always. You will see litter in some areas, particularly outside the main tourist centers. Some urban neighborhoods might look a bit neglected or run down. It's not Switzerland. You have to accept a certain level of grittiness as part of the package. Things might not always work perfectly.
So this brings us to the idea of embracing the chaos. That seems to be the key mindset required.
It really is. The traffic, the noise in the cities, the sometimes seemingly illogical way things work, the passionate arguments you might overhear. It's all part of the fabric of Sicily. If you fight against it, you'll just get frustrated.
So the advice is to
Lean into it, laugh about it, adopt a bit of the Sicilian shrug, go with the flow. Understand that unpredictability is part of the charm. The reward for accepting the imperfections is experiencing something genuinely unique and authentic.
What about things like scams or the language barrier? Are those major issues?
The language barrier is more noticeable than in, say, Florence or Rome. English isn't as universally spoken, especially among older people or outside tourist hubs. Learning a few basic Italian phrases, buongiorno, grazie, prego, per favore, io conto, goes a long way and is really appreciated.
And scams?
Minor scams exist, like the taxi fare issue we discussed, or maybe aggressive vendors in tourist spots. But it's usually pretty low-level stuff. A firm but polite no, grazie, and walking away generally solves most issues. It's not something to be overly anxious about, just aware. Sicily is captivating, but it's captivatingly imperfect. #, conclusion and final verdict.
Okay, we have navigated the logistics, mentally feasted on arancini and cannoli, walked through ancient temples and chaotic markets, and braced ourselves for the driving. It's time to synthesize. Based on everything we've covered from the sources, the big question, is Sicily worth it?
The answer that comes through loud and clear is yes. Absolutely, unequivocally yes, but. And it's an important but. It comes with caveats. It's worth it if you are the right kind of traveler for what Sicily offers.
Let's define that ideal visitor then. Who is Sicily perfect for?
Sicily is perfect for you if you're adventurous, if you're a history enthusiast who wants to walk through millennia, if you're a massive foodie who wants to taste something unique and authentic, if you're a culture seeker who embraces vibrancy and, yes, a bit of chaos.
And crucially, someone prepared for the practical challenges.
Exactly. Someone who sees the driving as an adventure, not a nightmare. Someone who prioritizes amazing value for money, incredible landscapes from beaches to volcanoes, and genuine interactions over seamless perfection. If that's you, Sicily will likely blow you away.
Conversely, who should maybe think twice? Who might not find Sicily worth it?
It might not be the best fit if you're looking for a highly organized, super predictable, spotlessly clean holiday. If you get easily stressed by things not running on time or by assertive driving, or if you want everything to be pristine and perfectly efficient.
Or maybe someone just looking for a straightforward resort holiday.
Right. If your main goal is to relax by a pool in a perfectly managed resort environment with minimal interaction with the outside world, Sicily might offer that in specific locations, but you'd be missing the essence of the island. Its core appeal lies in its slightly messy, incredibly rich authenticity. It demands a certain level of engagement and patience.
So it gives a lot, but it asks for something in return: patience, adaptability.
That's a great way to put it. It might test your patience sometimes, maybe your driving skills, but the payoff in terms of history, culture, food, and just unforgettable moments is immense.
A fascinating duality.
Okay.
Okay, to wrap up, let's leave our listeners with that final provocative thought. We talked a lot about the layers of history: Greek, Arab, Norman, Spanish.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
So the challenge for you, the listener, if you go, look beyond the obvious big monuments. Try to spot the unexpected legacy of one of those cultures. Is it in a specific pattern on a ceramic tile? A technique used to make a certain street food? A local dialect word? Which ancient influence pops up in contemporary daily life in a way that truly surprises you? The echoes are often quieter than the temples.
That's a great challenge. It encourages looking deeper. Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we unpack the beautiful, chaotic, delicious island of Sicily.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep figuring out what adventures are truly worth it for you.